Welcome to another episode of The Latest with Maya. Today, I am beyond excited to have a conversation with actor Corey Reynolds. Corey has been in so many different things, including The Closer, All American, and the Broadway adaptation of Hairspray.
Hmm.
Corey currently stars as Sheriff Mike in Resident Alien, which I am obsessed with. Um, Thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you for having me, Maya.
Yeah, so let's get started.
All
So,
right.
um, who do you most admire, and how has that impacted the way you live your life?
Wow. Ooh, you come right out of the gate swinging, huh?
Yeah.
um, wow, I think I take a little bit from lots of different people. I think I heard an adage very early on in my life that I think has served me well, and it said, "Do not seek to walk in the paths of men or people who are wise. Seek what they sought." So by that, you're on that path that they're on, but you're not trying to mimic or recreate their journey in any way. So I think I borrow a little bit from everyone. I've always been when it comes to performance, obviously Denzel Washington, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Bernie Mac, Tom Hanks. I'm a fan of the craft. As someone who didn't go to school for this and didn't train for this in any formal way outside of public school, it's kind of been borrow a little bit from like making a jambalaya. You know what I mean? You're making like
Yeah.
a stew. So any individual person, I don't know of an individual person that I can think of right off the top of my head who's had the greatest influence, but those are some of the people that I've borrowed from. Obviously, the journey of Dr. King and the gentleman that I played in Selma, the Reverend Dr. C.T. Vivian, those civil rights leaders of the 60s, they certainly create inspiration for me, but I think if I were to boil it down to one specific person, I don't know if there's just one.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So what small things bring you joy on a daily basis?
Oh, what small things bring me joy on a daily basis? My son, he's 11. Um, Becoming a father, it kind of like it was like a reprogramming of my existence. I became a father late in life, so well, late in life by today's standards. So right around the time I was starting to get really cynical about everything, and just like everything's terrible, everything's this. You have this new life that comes into the world and starts to show you these things that you've kind of grown numb to, but still remain fantastical. You know what I mean? We just overlook them because we've seen them so much. I mean, a small child picks up a leaf and it's like the most amazing thing in the world. And we step on them and crush them. And when you think about like where they come from a tree and how they're, the photosynthesis and the process of the sun and all of that, to them, it's this magnificent thing. So becoming a dad, definitely, helped kind of shape who I am. Probably more than anything else. And I've had an interesting journey. I left home when I was really young, at 15, and I've been on my own ever since. I'd like to say I'm currently and forever enrolled in the University of Life.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that saying. I feel like I'm gonna start using that now.
Absolutely, it's yours.
If you're
Take what you
okay with
want.
that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you. Um,
And what was the other part of your question? What was the question there?
oh, it was what small things bring you joy
Yes,
on a
and
daily
my dog, my son
basis?
and my dog. I have a husky. He's over there sleeping like a little baby. And yeah, those are the little things. It keeps you grounded. You know.
Yeah. Definitely. I love that. Yeah, I love just finding like yeah, just finding joy in the small things.
And it's hard. I mean, I'll be honest, it's hard on some days. Some days you're like, man, there is nothing great about this place, you know.
Yeah.
But there always is, and I think it's human nature to, as much as scratching that itch of like frustration might feel good. I think we trend towards something more positive in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. 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 Um, so what is the best song to describe your life right now?
Ooh, what is the best song? Pac-Man Fever. No, I'm kidding. um, you know, wow. You know what? There's a song that is in Into the Spider-Verse, where Miles Morales it's like when he's having his coming of age moment. What's up, Danger? I feel like that's kind of been my theme song in my head for a while for various reasons. But yeah, that one gets me going. I can put that on and just like if I were a UFC fighter, which I'd be terrible at, by the way. But if I were a UFC fighter, I would come out to What's Up Danger. Yeah, What's Up Danger.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that song because I
Oh,
love
it's a
that movie.
Oh man, it is a you get pumped with that one, man. And you just listen to the lyrics and what he's saying. It's just like, wow, it's hot. It's a hot track.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I love that. Yeah. So what is your favorite way to procrastinate?
Oh my gosh, great question. Um, I left Twitter a while ago. The day that Elon Musk closed on the deal, I left Twitter. I'm like, I'm done. And I've kind of embraced Threads, which is I don't like the name, but it feels very
Yeah.
Twitter-esque.
Yeah.
And that's my procrastination. Man, it's so easy for me to sit with my phone and just taking in news and information and engaging with people, and then you look up and it's been a couple of hours, you know what I mean? But part of me kind of feels like, well, that's part of this industry. You need to connect with people, you need to let people, into your space and let people know how you think and this type of stuff. So I think it's a part of it, but that's also a convenient excuse to sit and just be on your
Yeah.
phone. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
so I
Yeah.
think that's how I do it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I can just like you just get kind of sucked down this rabbit hole
Oh,
and
totally.
yeah.
Completely. And I mean, listen, I also play video games too. That's another thing I love to do. I've got some buddies that I've been gaming with since before you couldn't game online. You know what I mean? Like for a
Yeah.
long time. So we can definitely sit and play for a long time as well.
Yeah.
If I have a day off and I'm kind of not so much of a neat freak, but I like to keep things clean. If I've like done my house and everything's clean and I really have nothing to do, I'll hop on with my boys and play some games or sit on the phone and say dumb stuff on threads.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I can yeah, usually if I get like really into a show, that's how I procrastinate. I'm just like one more episode and then
Well, and
especially
they make it so easy.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'll be honest. There's times I'm watching stuff and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to stop here, but I just don't get to the remote fast enough, and it starts playing, and I'm like, oh well. I mean, if it's already on, I might as well see where this is going. You know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
They make it easy.
Yeah, they do. Um, so do you have any irrational fears?
Oh God, where do I start? Spiders. I feel in my mind, spiders are far more aggressive than they are in reality. I swear, in my mind, anytime there was one time I was driving my car, and and I just noticed it just out of the corner of my eye, and there was like this spider coming down, like you know how
Oh,
they drape down on the
yeah.
web, and they're coming down with their legs all splayed. You know what I mean? I had to pull over. I got out of the car. I'm like, I didn't know what to do. I'm sitting there like standing out of the car, like And I think it might have been like a black widow. It was ugly. It was a nasty spider. I had to kill that spider. I'm going to tell the world right now. I did it. I'm not proud of it.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, the spider hadn't contributed to any car payments. That way, it had no ownership of the vehicle,
Yeah.
and was trespassing
Yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah.
As described, clearly was out to kill me.
Yeah.
So spiders, I think I have it irrational. I'm a kind of I don't use or eat or drink anything once it's past the best buy date. You know what I mean? Forget
Yeah.
about it. I had one bad experience with spoiled milk on a cruise ship back when I was like 20 years old. And ever since then, like anything that's not even expired. I mean, I know best buy date isn't the same as expired, but they are to me. I
Yeah.
also have a 12-digit PIN code for my ATM card. I've never shared that with anyone. Yeah. I have a 12-digit PIN code for my ATM card. Yeah. So there
Yeah.
you go. It takes me a second too sometimes because it's ridiculous, but I don't know. I thought it would be funny because I
Yeah.
could see, you can make it as long as you want, so I
Yeah.
made it 12 numbers.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to guess it. You know what I mean? I think my
Yeah.
resources are fairly safe, even from
Yeah.
me sometimes. But yeah, those are some weird quirks about me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like, yeah, I have so many irrational fears, and spiders being one of them. Uh,
Hmm.
so
Which I listen. I think irrational is irrational. I think it is a completely rational fear to
yeah,
have of spiders.
I think so too.
Hmm.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember there was this one time my mom and I were watching this baking show, and they were making phobia cakes. So
Ooh.
and I was like, I do not like this. And
No.
mom, my mom was asking what would my phobia cake be. And I'm like, I feel like it would just be easier to make my brain. Make a cake shaped like a brain, and then that's my
Yeah.
phobia cake. Instead of just going through everything.
No, I feel you on that.
Yeah. um, yeah, so I am pop culture obsessed and go in
Okay.
stages of shows. Yeah, if you can't tell by the wall behind me. And I go in stages of shows that I cannot stop watching. Is there a show that you are currently obsessed with?
Ooh. I dabble around with that as well. I'm also into animation, so I've been watching the X-Men '97 because I watched the original one back. That's back when I was watching that stuff. So that's been cool to kind of revisit and to watch. Also, Invincible. I mean, that one's not for everyone. That is some really hardcore stuff there. But when it comes to television, for me, I watch a lot of documentary television. I'm big into space, astrophysics, planetary science. So I watch a lot of like how the universe works and, all of those types of space exploration, explanation stuff. So that's why Resident Alien kind of fit right in into the wheelhouse for me, content wise, because I'm kind of I think of myself in another life. I think I might have been an astrophysicist, but I just feel like that's a lot of going to school.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I have that in me. I
Yeah.
have the curiosity, but I don't have the drive. I'll be honest. So,
Yeah.
but that's what I watch a lot of. I don't watch a lot of scripted television. I watch a lot of documentary television. I like nature shows too. Predators, and they're like, if you watch the cheetah stalking quietly through the thing, and then it's like, rah, you know what I mean? I like watching that type of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
My
cool.
son and I watch a shit ton of Family Guy. That's my all-time favorite show. I don't know, I probably watch about 5 or 6 episodes of Family Guy, or have it at least on
Yeah.
every day. Every day. I love, love, love the show. I fanboy on Chris all the time about Family Guy. He gives me a bunch of swag. I like it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I also like um sorry, I had what I was gonna say in my head and now it's
That's
not
all
coming
right.
out. Um, but
Happens to me all the time.
yeah. Um, just when you were mentioning about in another life, you'd be like an astrophysicist, but
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like in another life, I'm really into like legal stuff, and so I feel
Oh,
like in another life I would love to be a lawyer,
a
but
lawyer.
I'm like I don't want to go to school for that long.
Right. I know that's something you definitely got to go to school for. You know what I mean? And there's so
Yeah,
many different branches of it. It's like, someone saying, "Oh, I'm a doctor," and that could be anything from, a brain surgeon to an orthopedist. You know what I mean? Like it's same thing with law. You got criminal law, real estate law, entertainment law. It's all like crazy. Like it's a lot. It's a
yeah,
lot of law.
yeah. Yeah, there was of my junior year of high school. I took a class called street law that
Ah.
is one of my favorite classes
It's like
of
where you go out in the street and you hit people with laws. No jaywalking.
yeah. Yeah.
That's littering. Street
Yeah.
law.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it should be.
Yeah, that would be great. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You write tickets to people that have no like power, and people are
yeah,
like, what do I do with this? I don't know, but you've been ticketed. You need a catchphrase. You're gonna need,
yeah,
we're gonna have.
yeah,
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd watch that show. I'd
yeah,
watch that show.
yeah. I think that that show needs to be created now.
Absolutely, street law. Yeah,
Yes.
like
Yeah. I remember joking with my teacher one time that street law has ruined me because now I watch like a legal show and I'm like they can't
ah.
do that or that's
Mhm.
not something that would happen. So
Totally. You're like, that evidence is tainted. That
yeah,
evidence is tainted. You can't use that. You
yeah,
got to Miranda him first.
yeah. Or like I'm like they can't go into that place without a warrant or
Hmm. We're all like armchair detectives nowadays. We've
yeah,
watched so much procedural television shows with
yeah,
how it's done.
yeah,
Read them your rights.
yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, and yeah, just going back to the shows, yeah, I always love hearing what other people are watching because I love just finding a good show to binge watch.
I know binge watching is the thing now, but I will say I kind of miss the communal component of television. I mean, you're much younger than I am, but like, there was a time where you'd watch something one night and then everyone was talking about it the next day. And I think what streaming has done and the binge component to television has allowed is we've lost that. Well, you find it online, so let me correct myself. But there seems to be in many cases a loss of that communal communicating about the show because, for instance, if you're talking about something with a show that someone else has already finished, and someone has, I'm not there, don't tell me I'm not, you know what I mean. But in the time of watching it when it aired, we were all had to be there at the same time. It's kind of like when I had it explained to me the difference between comedy and drama, and why drama is why comedy is so much more difficult. Because with drama, you can see a performance, and 10 different people can have 10 different interpretations of what they see. Similar to the streaming thing, 10 different people can watch it and it all be a different thing. However, when it comes to comedy, and when you're talking about a punchline, you need everyone to have the exact same thought at the exact same moment. That's how a joke works. You can't have a staggered unless
Yeah.
the staggered response is a part of the joke, a trickling in of the laughs to for something to work comedically. it needs to have a springboard that everyone jumps off at the same time. And I think that component of singular thought amongst an audience is something that is lost in the streaming component, because we're not all having the same experience at the same time. I'm not saying whether or not it's better or if it's worse, but it is markedly different, for sure. Because I
Yeah.
hear people talking about shows now, and I'm like, I don't even like, where do you even? They're like, it's on Wiggly Piggly TV, or like
Yeah.
woolrug.com, and I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. I've never heard of it, but sure, I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I enjoy the binging when I want to binge, but I do think something is lost in the individual cocoon of experiencing everything on a singular level.
Yeah, yeah, I do love having those shows that you can binge watch, and then I love still having shows that like are on every week because it gives me
Yeah,
something to look forward to. So,
totally, totally. And I think Netflix, the whole like binging kind of movement, I mean, I think it works for for what Netflix does. I know people binged our show on Netflix, and I love that, obviously. That's great. But I think everyone else trying to do that, it isn't going to work, in my opinion. I think other places that are dumping everything all at once, um, I don't know. You got to stretch things out sometimes, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Um, what do you wish people better understood about you?
Oh, what do I wish people better understood about me? I think to answer that, I'd have to know what people understand about me. Um, I've tried my best despite, I've been in Hollywood now for 21 years. And before coming out here, I was on Broadway, in Hairspray in New York. Um, I try to keep a relatively reclusive lifestyle. Uh, I don't know, my privacy and being able to have my own space is kind of important to me. It keeps me grounded. Um, so I try to do my best to preserve that, and I don't feel the need to tell people everything. I feel like if I have something I want to share, or something that I think I'm compelled to put out there and express because I think it will connect with someone in some way and or give people a shared sense of connection, then I think it can, popping out of my little bubble is what I'll do in that instance. But for the most part, um, I try my best to just what being an actor is. It's what I do. It's not who I am. Writing is who I am. Being creative is who I am. Being an artist is who I am. So those are the aspects of me that I think keep me where I need to be. But I don't think that's for everyone in the world.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. So if you had a reality TV show about your life, what would it be called?
If I had a reality show about my life, it would probably be called The Daily Rantings of Corey Reynolds. Um, I talk to myself a lot, I've noticed. I read somewhere that geniuses do that, but I don't know if that was just something that people who talk to themselves like put in a book to make themselves feel better about talking to themselves, or if it is really an
Yeah.
indication of intelligence or not. My life is pretty chill, to be honest. If I'm in between seasons, I get up every morning, I make my son breakfast, I walk him up to school, I come home, I rage at the news like everyone else. Sometimes, I get a creative Like I had an idea for a new project that I'm interested in bringing to life that I think could be a fun thing. Those are always fun to kick around. But you would be watching me be pretty boring. I think people would find my life pretty boring. Corey Reynolds folding laundry. And be like, yeah, I told you it was boring. You know what I mean? I told you not to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty basic stuff. You know, I don't go gallivanting out in helicopters and climb Mount Everest and stuff like that. That's not my thing.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, just with yeah, I never watch the news. Like my mom will watch it and she'll read about things and I always just I say two words to her every time. I'm like, news bad.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, it definitely feels that way. You know, and I think I heard Denzel Washington say once in an interview, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed, and if you do watch the news, you're misinformed.
Yeah,
And you know, trying to find, you know, that balance of information, it's tough because I mean, if you really want to be to keep yourself up to speed, you have to have multiple sources. You can't like sit and just have one thing that you get all your information from. And I think we also have to lose the idea that compromise is a weakness. I've, you know, if we're looking at our political landscape, you know, whether you're conservative or progressive, Democrat or Republican, it is a union of sorts. Someone like a marriage, and if you had two partners in a marriage whose mindset was compromise to me is I get everything I want and you get to give it to me.
yeah,
That's not that's not functional. That marriage wouldn't last. That relationship wouldn't last. Um, and that's kind of this place we are in right now. And I hope we land on our feet.
yeah,
This is going to be a really interesting November, and I guess we're all just going to have to. It's kind of like being on a roller coaster that's going over that first big hill. Right now, we're all on that click, 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 you know, that chain going up. And then you go over and you feel your whole insides go up, and you're like, whoa. I feel like we're on the click, 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 click right now. And we're just going to have to see what this thing feels like when we get to the top.
yeah,
That's really nothing more we can do
yeah.
except vote, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I remember the first time my sister and I were able to vote. We were so excited. Yeah, we were like, this is one of the best parts about turning
Yeah.
18. You can vote.
Yeah. And, you know, it's true. It sounds corny, and we have to find a way to make it not sound corny. We have to find a way to elevate voting and political participation as like something that's cool. It's cool because ultimately
Yeah,
every generation is borrowing this world from the next generation.
yeah,
No one owns it.
yeah,
Everything that we're doing right now, as a parent, as someone who's turning 50 this year, I don't have any ownership of this space. We are borrowing the planet from the generation behind us, and we're going to be one of the few generations that are going to hand them a planet that's in worse condition than when we got it.
yeah,
And that's problematic. If you think about the history of this country and the previous generations that built the society we live in, the infrastructure, the power grid, water, all of that stuff was built by, you know, our grandparents and their parents and so forth. What has this generation given kids? We gave them Facebook,
yeah,
TikTok, Instagram. None of those things create anything. They don't manifest anything. It's just it's not tangible. And I think we've got to make some adjustments here, like breakneck fast, if we're going to course correct this collision course with an unfavorable destiny that we appear to be on. Sorry to bring down the end of the interview. with doom and gloom. I'll try to
Yeah.
tell a fart joke or something to lift spirits a little bit here at the end.
Yeah.
But I only care because it's important. It's important
Yeah.
what we do, and what we don't do. Uh, uh, is very important, and I'm getting a sense that more people are starting to understand that. I'm just hoping that it's not too late.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Um, yeah. Well, I was gonna say now that you've given me an existential crisis, um,
Yeah, right.
yeah, I have a few more questions for us to bring up the interview
Okay.
again.
All right.
Yeah. Um, so if you but first of all, I just want to say that is, I mean, so interesting what you just said. And I think I definitely yeah, I agree with that. And yeah, yeah, so that was just very interesting to hear. So thank you.
You got it. Happy to share it.
Yeah. So if you had a warning label, what would yours say?
Uh, he's loud and swears a lot. That's what mine would say. He's loud and swears a lot. Those would be my two. Although I don't think I've really swore in this interview. I've been rather tame. Look at
Yeah.
that. Look at
Yeah.
that. Look at me. I'm all sophisticated.
Yeah. Good job.
Good job. I'm gonna pat myself on the back there. Toot
Yeah.
toot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely be my warning label.
Yeah. I love that. Um, so what three words best describe you?
Determined, um, honest, um, and compassionate.
I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I think those three.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those. Um,
My motto in life is start no trouble, but take no shit.
yeah. Oh, I love
That's
that.
that's how I've tried to proceed in my journey. I'm not outwardly looking to have any conflict with anyone. However, I'm also not going to allow myself to be, disrespected and or um, overpowered by someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Um, yeah, only start trouble if it's the good kind of
There
trouble.
you go. Like John Lewis said, good trouble. And there is such a thing. There is such a thing as good trouble. I think there's a way to be disruptive without being destructive.
Yeah.
And that line gets crossed more than it should. But there is some righteousness to good trouble.
Yeah.
It has its place.
Yeah. Definitely. Um,
Disruptive, not destructive. Let me just clarify that
yeah.
again for if anyone's like, oh, he's no, no, no. There's a
Yeah.
difference. Disruptive and
Yeah.
destructive are two different things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I love that. Yeah. So what motivates you on days you aren't really feeling it?
Oh my gosh, these are great questions.
Thank you.
Um, you know, I adopt little things like I said earlier. I take little things from different people as I've gone on my journey, and I think it was Eddie Murphy that I once heard discuss how he didn't go to school for this business, and he talked about how if you're walking on a tightrope and you have like a safety net, you can fall.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're walking on a tightrope and you have no safety net, you have to stay your ass on that tightrope, right? And And I think, you know, for me, that motivation is kind of rooted in um, there is no safety net to my life. There's no one to catch me. I didn't come from wealth. Despite my name being Reynolds, I have no ownership of the metals company. So I think it's just that knowledge of there is no choice but to keep going. You either get up or you stay down. And that doesn't mean that sometimes I don't stay down for a little bit because getting up is tough sometimes. But if you're not moving forward, you're not moving at all, in my mind. Moving backwards isn't an option. It's only about forward. And that has its pluses and its minuses. Like I said, I'm very determined, but sometimes um, you know, it's walking that line between being determined and being obsessed.
Yeah.
What do you have the ability to manifest, and what do you accept is outside your ability to manifest? And finding the balance between that and the lines between it and being able to recognize it, that takes time. It takes a lot of time. And I'm still figuring that part out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, this should work. I don't understand why it's not working. And sometimes it's not working for a reason that might be beyond what is tangible. It might not be working at this moment because this isn't the moment for it to work.
Yeah.
It may be something that needs to work later. And it's hard to accept that when you want it to work now.
Yeah.
Um, and can't really understand why it's not working now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah. I stay
Yeah.
motivated by just knowing there is no choice. There is no other option.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So I just have two more questions for you, if
Okay.
it works. Um, so do you have a go-to show or movie just when you want to be comforted and kind of escape?
Yeah, like I said, Family Guy. I can watch Family Guy all day long. I absolutely love the show, all the characters. I know it's probably a corny answer, but yeah, I can watch Family Guy all day, every day.
Yeah.
If it's
Oh,
the only thing I have on a television in a nursing home someday, I'll be just fine. I'll be just fine.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love having those shows that you can just never get old. So,
Totally. Where part of the joke is knowing the joke that's coming.
yeah.
A fun fact, my son, I make his lunch every morning, and I have a bunch of post notes, probably like 30 of them now, that have different quotes from Family Guy. And I slip that into his lunch every single day, a post-it note with a Family Guy quote and a little "love you." And it is a firm part of my daily routine. Probably more so than it should be. People are going to look at me like, "God, this guy's obsessed with Family Guy," but it's a funny show.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Um, so I love inspiring and motivational quotes. And this week, my favorite quotation is by Chanel Miller. And it says, "Do not become the ones who hurt you. Stay tender with your power. Never fight to uh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, go ahead, take your time.
Thanks. I don't know why. I keep moving the paper closer. I'm like, I can't see what it says.
That's all right.
So, it says, "Do not become the ones who hurt you. Stay tender with your power. Never fight to injure, fight to uplift. Fight because you know that in this life you deserve safety, joy, and freedom. Fight because it is your life, not anyone else's."
Mm.
Is there a quotation that has inspired you lately?
You know, uh, I used to have this book, this little tiny square book, and it was like a book of like inspirational quotes. And I'm embarrassed to say that I'm blanking on who this is a quote from. It may have been anonymous, but I wrote it over my door in my dressing room in hairspray. And it goes, adversity builds character and character breeds success. And I think over the course of my journey, that little mantra there that I discovered in 2002, 2001-ish, um, has stuck with me my whole journey. Because when you do inevitably bump up against things that are creating difficulties in your life, if you're like me, you try to search for the reason why. Why is this happening? What is it that I'm supposed to be getting from life through this experience? You know what I mean? And a lot of times that's hard to understand. And I think that we search for that understanding. It's in our nature. And sometimes I've comforted myself with that understanding of this experience, even though I don't understand it, it's shaping me in a way that is making me stronger, uh, that's making me self reflect, which in essence is making me better and more compassionate.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that in and of itself is the purpose of those moments of adversity because it is literally helping shape our character. Um, I'd like to use the example sometimes, like when it comes to racism, you know, when you are the victim of racism, I think it creates one of two reactions within you. And they might battle each other sometimes. And those one of those reactions is it makes you want to get even or lash out at those who are like those who are oppressing you, or it makes it impossible for you to oppress someone else because you know how it feels. And so, I think we all have like a duty to kind of try our best to, and I know that old saying, that golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But it really is worth uh, uh, re-racking that in today's society, because I feel like we have a lot of people that are treating other people in ways that they absolutely would not want to be treated.
Yeah.
And you know, that's that's got to change.
Yeah.
It's got to
Definitely.
change.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, well, I
Sorry, I'll tell another fart joke again. We got to get this thing back up. We keep we
yeah.
keep getting to the end, and it's like,
Yeah.
but sometimes, sometimes the hard part ain't fun,
Yeah.
and that doesn't make it any less important,
Yeah.
But we're in a very fun first society.
Yeah.
It's like that movie, Don't Look Up. Did you see that movie?
I did. That one actually freaked me out.
It's pretty wild. Well, it freaks me out too because it really feels like that's what we're doing in a lot of
Yeah.
ways when it comes to what may be potentially down the line. This whole idea, if we just ignore it, it'll go away. And nothing could be further from the truth. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's so I don't know. That one I did enjoy that one. I know some people didn't like it. I was like, oh, I really dug it. I thought it was like spot on. Honestly, some really good performances too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody in it was really good. Um, yeah. I've actually been having a lot of anxiety lately, so I have been turning to just like my comfort shows and movies. Like
What are your comfort shows and movies?
I switch between a lot of them. So like right now, I have a lot. So right now, it's a lot of the show White Collar because
Oh yeah.
it came
That
back
was
on.
a USA show, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of my all-time favorite shows. And now that it's back on Netflix, it's just on all the time. Um,
There you go.
that's the big one right now. But then I have like Will and Grace and
Oh
Friends.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those are classics. But see, that again, that goes back to that time when you'd come into work the next day. Oh my God, did you see Will and Grace last night? Oh my God, did you see Friends last night? That must see TV era. Uh, you know, it 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 did something different. It was and listen, again, I'm not saying whether it's better or worse. It just was different. I feel like I'm one of those, like when I was growing up, I'd have all of my, like older guys, uncles and stuff like that, and I'd be talking about Boys to Men, and they'd be talking, you don't know nothing, boy. You don't know nothing about the Temptations and the Four Tops. And so now I feel like I'm that older guy talking about how things used to be, and oh, it was better back then. You know what I mean? But I don't
Yeah.
know. Is it? Was it? I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Um, well, I have just had the best time talking
This
with
has been a
you.
joy. Thanks for reaching out.
Of course, thank you
You know
so
what I
much
mean?
for
Yeah.
yes, I have just yeah, been wanting to interview you for so long, so I can't tell you how
Oh,
much this means to me.
thank you, Maya. My pleasure. We'll do it again.
I would
You
love
know what I
that.
mean? You got all the connects now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you want to do it again? You let me know.
Thank you. Yeah, I
You
would
got
love
it.
to talk with you again whenever you want to come back on.
You got it. We'll make it happen.
Hey, yeah, I so yeah, thank you so much again. I so appreciate your taking the time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. I wish you the very same.
Thank you. And that's a wrap on today's edition of the latest with Maya.